Hi guys, welcome to the Retro Media Talk Podcast. I'm Steve Montgomery and I'm here with Steve Lago. And this is part 2 of our discussion of our most listened to metal bands of the 1990s. So let's get started. I remember being in Co-op Records with Mike Gallus up there on Main Street. We're up there on Main Street. I think it was whatever year that Pearl Jam came out. And when I first heard Eddie Vedder's voice, first I didn't know what the band was. They were playing it overhead. And I kept laughing. I said, dude, are you listening to this? And he's like, what? I was like, this sounds like Jim Brewer off Saturday Night Live, plays Goat Boy. And that's exactly what I was thinking. It was like, I wasn't used to the sound. I don't think anybody was. No. But, the radio, the record labels and the radio stations brainwash people to like certain things. They play it over and over and over and over and over.
Right.
Until you finally give in and say, you know what, this ain't bad. But when I first heard it, I said, no, I am not listening to this shit. Okay. I'm not listening to this. And then, that was when the whole Seattle music, blew up. But, let's be honest here. Who was the original Seattle band?
It was Queensryche.
Queensryche. And they didn't sound like that. But yeah, so it was a dark day for me when Pearl Jam, hit the scene, and then all my, hair metal and metal was going down the tubes. Now I got to hear this crap, and then it was Nirvana. And then it was like, Collective Soul. What's the other one? Bush, all these different bands. And yeah, that's when we had to search out for what else is out there. There's got to be somebody else out there. There was also a lot of, I don't know if you bought some of these albums, but there was a lot of independent record labels. Like you remember Nightmare Records and a bunch of little labels that were putting out independent metal. I was buying a crap load of that too. The productions weren't that great. It was an alternative to what they were putting out in the mainstream. I don't know, man. It was crazy. So, yeah, it was a crazy time because, not only did they get rid of pretty much our music overnight, but then all these alternative radio stations kept popping up. Mm-hmm. Remember that? Talking about one-hit wonders.
Right.
Oh, my gosh. My next band on my list is Pink Cream 69. I know a lot of people are like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, I discovered them about 4 or 5 years ago.
Did you?
They're a good band. They're a good band. They're a really good band.
Cool, man. I'm glad you heard of them because I was like, oh man, nobody's gonna know what this one is. But yeah. Yeah, Pink Cream 69, they're a German hard rock heavy metal band. They've been around since, a long time. And, they're just your standard, good hard rock metal band with melodic vocals. So, I don't know. They've been on Epic. They've been on Massacre Records. They've been on Frontiers. Oh, since 89, they've been around. Yeah, since their debut, 89. Okay, so one more. You probably don't like these guys. I don't know. I'll just say them. Firehouse.
Well, for me, and I do like Firehouse.
Oh, you do? Okay.
But I mean, the only album that was any good was the first one, but that came out, and for me, that came out in like 89, and then after that, I got the second one, and it was a big disappointment, and so I really never listened to them after that. But I mean, their first album was incredible.
I thought the first one came out in 90.
I think it was like 89. I could be mistaken, but it doesn't matter if you listen to it.
That's true. Yeah.
If you listen to them, but like I think in 92, their second one came out, which I can't remember what was called. What was that called? I don't remember what it was. But.
Oh man. Hold on, let me see here. Okay, so Hold Your Fire.
Yeah, they had. Actually, their debut did come out in 90. Yeah, you're right.
Did it? Okay.
It seemed like I was in high school still, but I guess it wasn't. But Yeah, "Reach for the Sky" was the only good song off that second album.
Oh yeah,
for me.
I love that song. That was a good song. Yeah.
I had their acoustic album, the Good Acoustics.
Yeah, I do got that one too.
That's a pretty good album.
Yeah,
it's
is.
Pretty good album.
Yeah, I was surprised because I'm not a real fan of acoustic usually, but I did like that album.
I actually saw them in San Diego at the Starlight Bowl. It was Warrant, Trickster, and Firehouse.
No way.
It would have been like 1991. Yeah.
Oh man, I did not put Trickster on there because there was like one or two songs I think I.
Yeah, I didn't care for them.
Yeah,
they were
a one hit kind of.
They were like a Kmart. They were a Kmart hard rock band.
Yeah.
They were like they were like a hair band you would get from Wish.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they didn't last long. I mean, they had 2 albums, I think, or something, but
they had 2 or 3, but they weren't nothing to write home about.
No. Okay, so we're 10 each. Now, you got 5 more to go,
All right,
or 5 more. We got a lot.
5 more. Yeah, we got a lot more to go.
Holy shit! It's gonna be a long podcast. This is gonna be a 2-parter for sure.
Well, it'll be all right. It's okay.
Might be a 3-parter. I don't know.
Okay. The next band on the list is Deliverance.
Oh yeah, that was on my list.
And Christian, like they were labeled as a Christian thrash band. They were like the alternative to, which I wouldn't agree, but people would say they were an alternative to the Christian version of, or alternative to Metallica, which I never saw that because Jimmy Brown can sing.
That was about the closest, though. I think as far as music goes, to Metallica.
Yeah,
back then.
But like I said, the main difference is that Jimmy Brown actually could sing. And
he does sing.
So he had so you had some actually good vocals with heavy, fast, metal. Yeah. And of course, their big break was Weapons of Our Warfare. They had a video on Headbangers Ball for that. It was a horrible video, but at least they got some play on there.
Yeah, true.
And I mean, they put a string out in the 90s. Weapons of Our Warfare, Learn, Stay of Execution, which I love that album too.
Yeah, yeah.
River Disturbance, which is probably like my favorite Deliverance album. A lot of people hate that album. And then Camelot and Smithereens all came out in the 90s. And they just re-released, they re-recorded Camelot and Smithereens in this big deluxe package. It's an awesome, they did an awesome job on it. But highly recommend it.
Good pick, man. First time I heard Deliverance, I was like, I listened to that so loud in the car all the time because that's what I love to blast. Just some nice.
See, I didn't like their first album really. It was okay.
Yeah,
but they didn't really hook me. And then they came out with What a Joke, which was a joke, right? Remember?
Was that one their second one? Was it?
That was.
I thought that was like the third or something. I don't know.
Well, what was after the self-titled one? I can't remember now.
I thought it was Weapons, wasn't it?
Well, that might have been. I keep up with Jimmy Brown. He's the singer, and he had quite a few projects after that, which are pretty good. You should check them out. I highly recommend it. Next band is Galactic Cowboys.
Yeah, I almost put those on my list because that was another band I really listened to a lot of. But I'm glad you did. I'm glad you put them on there.
Yeah, I mean, the Space in Your Face album is the album that I just love. That album, it's just incredible. It's got they got those great melodies, almost like those King's X kind of melodies, harmonies. But I mean, the music's just all over the place. It's they're version 2 of King's X, really, is what they are. I mean, they have some very they're very similar, but they're heavier in my opinion. Well,
what would you
at times?
What would you say their melodies are not melodies, but their harmonies are almost like Beatles-esque or whatever.
Yeah, Beatlesque.
Beatlesque.
Yeah, the unique band. I heard they were starting to, or may possibly be recording a new album. If they can get everybody together. I guess it's been kind of a hard thing nowadays or whatever. But yeah, great. They had like 5 good albums in the 90s.
Yeah, great.
They progressively, dropped a notch though, honestly. But the the first 4 were pretty good.
Yeah.
My next band, which would be this would be number 13 for me, is Bride.
Yeah.
I thought you would have named them a long time ago.
Yeah, I know. Mine's all out of order. I mean, it's just
because you loved them. You loved Dale Thompson. His voice.
Yeah, I did.
And I'm not a huge fan of his style. But when Kinetic Faith and Snakes in the Playground came out, obviously, those are just incredible albums. I listen to Kinetic Faith so much. I can't even tell you. They're a really great band. I can't even put a finger on how you would categorize them either. Because when they started out, they were almost like I wouldn't say a thrash band, but they were kind of. Because Live to Die. That was kind of a thrash almost speed metal, I guess you would. Yeah, it was like speed thrash, but it was dark sounding too. Yeah. And then they changed gears with Kinetic Faith, and it became like I don't even know, like a blues rock kind of Guns N' Roses. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Yeah, kind of Guns N' Roses. Just like a trippy type. I don't know. Yeah. It was very
they did
unique.
Have some trippy kind of weird stuff, like Psychedelic Jesus. That song. Yeah, kind of. Yeah. But that they won some Dove Awards. As a matter of fact, they were very, very successful. That was their best produced album, I think. Snakes on the Playground. That was their biggest success. Yeah, that's the one everybody, like, when you talk to people, and they always mention that album. I thought Kinetic Faith was a better album than that, but I didn't say it had better songs, but I love Kinetic Faith. They got a new album. They didn't get remastered, did they? They sure did. Yes, they did. Oh, shoot, I missed that. Okay, last year I think it was. Oh crap. Okay. I didn't get any of them yet. Shoot. So what? Okay, go ahead, man. I interrupted you. Oh, yeah, they got a new album coming out here shortly. Awesome. I helped fund their last one on Kickstarter. Cool. Here Is Your God. Mm-hmm. Was it good? It's pretty good. They've kind of been like in the same, I don't want to say rut, but their last few albums kind of have the same feel to them. Yeah. And they always they didn't mention it this time, so I'm kind of happy about that. But they're always like, this is going to be like, they've been saying, this is going to be Snakes in the Playground too. Snakes in the Playground, and it never turns into that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Dale's always doing these. That thing he does, that screaming, yeah. And I wish he would just, lay off that, kick back a little bit and do some, Love on the Mountain, and Ski Mask and Handguns type songs instead of, all that. I think they just need they also need a good producer, because aren't they putting these things out independently? Yeah. So, matter of fact, he was saying, that, Troy sends him the guitar, he sings to the guitar parts with a click. Then they send those tapes to Brazil, and the drummer and bass player record their parts and then mix it there. Mm. So it's kind of piecemealed. Yeah. To keep costs down, I'm sure. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, sure. All of their albums that they've put out in the past decade or so, there's like 2 or 3 good songs on there. Yeah, but that's about it. Yeah. So there's something worth hearing on there, but as a whole, they haven't been good, complete albums, which is the bummer for me. Yeah, for sure. All right, so I got 2 more here. So we might as well keep this running on the same vein here. Next band would be Bloodgood. Okay, I knew you were gonna. Well, wasn't that your 80s too? Or did you not put that in your 80s? I didn't put it on my 80s. Okay, all right. I think it missed my. Maybe I was thinking it myself, and okay. I knew you were going to have it on one of these for sure. It missed my radar for sure, but back in the 90s,
I mean, I was listening to all their albums. Back then, of course, during the '90s, they had the double live album came out and All Stand Together. But I was still listening to "Rockin' a Hard Place" like continuously through the early '90s. Just another, but they're, in case we haven't disclosed that, they're another Christian metal band, and
it came out of Seattle too, I think.
Yep, Seattle. So there's your Seattle sound for you. They got a very unique sounding singer, for sure. Nobody sounds like him, and he sounds like nobody else.
Yeah. True.
He's an acquired taste. When I first heard him, I didn't care for his voice, but it grew on me over the years, and they got a lot of great albums.
Yeah.
And fortunately, the bass player Michael Bloodgood, he just passed away.
Gosh, yeah.
And
that sucks.
So now Les Carlson and Paul Jackson, the two remaining core members, are just doing a solo thing with underneath the Les Carlson band name, which he just put an album out, and it's really, really good.
Cool.
And they'll be at the Immortal Fest this year.
I think Mike was talking about that. I talked to him before he left. He's on the road right now, moving to North Carolina. And, he said you were going to send it to him or something. Or...
Yeah, I didn't know that. Obviously, he wanted it for the road trip, and I didn't. I didn't know that. And when he texted me, I was at work, and I said, "Oh yeah, I'll do it tonight." And then something came up, and then I was going to do it yesterday, right before our podcast or after our podcast, and of course we didn't do it. So I didn't remember to do it. So I texted him today, and he said, "Oh, I'm on my way to Tennessee." So I kind of put two and two together. Said, "Oh, he probably wanted it for the drive," but I mean,
you know what? Since you brought up Bloodgood, the one that missed my radar that I used to listen to a lot, other than Bloodgood, that I did not put on this list, which I was debating to put it on or not, even though it belongs there, is David Safiro. Because I listened to both his albums a lot also. Yeah, The Other Side, and then they had The Other Side came out in 89.
And okay. Scarlet Storm.
Yeah, and it was more hard rock, I guess, than metal. It really wasn't metal. I guess. Yeah, it was more laid back, kind of hard rock.
Yeah, and then they had Surrender Absolute, and there was another one. I can't remember which one it is, but yeah, I have them all. They're good. They're good albums. I'm glad I have them because they're certainly hard to come by nowadays. I can tell you that.
I bet.
And then number 15 for me is Damn Yankees. A song twice in concert.
Yes.
Great band.
A great band.
Ted Nugent, Tommy Shaw, Jack Blades, Michael Cardelloni. He was the nobody of the band. He was a painter. He painted furniture.
No way.
And I don't know that's how somebody knew him and whatever by recommendation. Now he plays. Does he play for Skynyrd? I can't remember. He plays for some big classic rock band. But yeah, I mean, they came out, and of course, High Enough was a huge hit.
Yeah.
And I think they had Come Again as also was their second hit on that album. But then of course their second album, Don't Tread, had Where You Going Now, and that was a big radio hit. And then they just didn't make another one. They started working on one, talked about it, it never happened. Tommy Shaw went back to Styx because all these classic bands were starting to reform because there was a call for it. So, he left there. Jack Blades went back to Night Ranger, and Ted Nugent went back to killing stuff. And, so they never had a third album. And somebody asked him recently, and he basically said, everybody's all on good terms and stuff like that. He just doesn't see it ever materializing.
Yeah. Wow.
But yeah, great band. One of the bands that shouldn't have emerged when they did. Because they popped up in 1990, when it was dying. It was starting to die, and but I saw them. Yeah, I saw them with it was at an opera. It was crazy. It was called Golden Hall in San Diego as well. And you go inside this big courtyard, and they have people selling beer and wine and stuff like that. And so there was 2 arenas in this place, but there's an outside concourse. So the same night Damn Yankees and Jackal was playing, that's what I was going to see.
Oh yeah.
There was an opera going on in the next.
Oh my God.
Right next door. So all these people are standing there in this big courtyard. So I'm standing there, looking all rough and scary, and getting drunk. And there's people coming in with tuxedos and like these ballroom type dresses, getting ready to go to the opera. And you should see, some of the looks these people were given.
Yeah, I bet
the Damn Yankee Jackal fans was hilarious. But that show, it was like it was right after Desert Storm. So for the finale, Ted Nugent, he goes all the way to the back of the arena, lights a flaming arrow and shoots like a deer. Then he shoots Saddam Hussein with a flaming arrow, right? And then prior to that, Jesse James Dupree from Jackal, they played that Lumberjack song. Remember, that was their first hit. And then he basically dropped his pants on stage, right, butt naked. So after the show, as soon as Damn Yankees was over, the fire marshal came in and arrested Ted Nugent, and the cops came in and arrested Jesse James for indecent exposure.
Oh, my God.
They both got hauled out in cuffs.
No
but
way.
They waited till the show was over, though, which was cool.
Oh, my gosh. That's a hell of a story.
Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, guys, this is Steve here, and I want you to try the best superfood on the market. Field of Greens, real organic superfood. Just use my special coupon code HEALTHYLIFE for ultimate savings. The benefits of Field of Greens contain antioxidants, boosts immunity, completely organic, supports healthy metabolism, and a natural source of vitamins and minerals. Try Field of Greens today with my special coupon code HEALTHYLIFE at checkout. Healthy Life. Is that it?
That's it. It's your turn.
All right. Well, here's a band that you probably never heard of. Now, I was getting into more Swedish type metal back in the day, like in the mid-90s. And I heard this band, gave them a shot. They were actually being sold at a local record store, CD shop. It was on Black Mark Records. Have you ever heard of that one? Black Mark Records?
I think I have, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and this band was called Tad Morose.
I've heard of them.
Tad Morose. It was heavy, melodic, darker type metal, I guess. And then they signed with Century Media. Was on a couple other different labels after that. But then a band you probably never heard of, another Swedish band called Jaded Heart, and they're still putting albums out. And they had kind of a Dokken type style when they first started. Now they're more heavier now, but I think they're on Massacre Records now, but they're still putting albums out. So Jaded Heart, another band that probably not many people have heard of. And then this band I know you've heard of, Conception.
Yes.
And Roy Khan, former singer of Camelot. His band Conception just blew me away when I first heard it. And that was another band that was on one of these labels that was catering towards metal back in the day. And they were, I think, a German label or something like that. Noise Records. You remember Noise Records?
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I bought a lot of metal from Noise Records. So Germany and Sweden were probably the two countries where I was really getting into that type of music from. So that was 13. So the band that blew me away. This is one of my pivotal points in the mid 90s, maybe 97-ish or something like that, or 95 or 97. I can't remember exactly what.
What is it, Backstreet Boys?
No. Symphony X. Have you heard of them?
Well, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
They're good. They're a good band.
Yeah, I love that band. Russell Allen, I just thought his vocals were incredible. He later joined a band called Adrenaline Mob, and he's been on like countless other albums with other singers, or other bands and guest vocalists and everything else.
He's like a Doug Pinnick, Dale Thompson kind of guy. He sings. He's like a rent-a singer, isn't he?
Yeah. He's everywhere. He's even in Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Crazy.
I mean, that's the gig you want there.
Yeah, exactly. So, Russell Allen, just phenomenal. When I first heard them, I was blown away because I was looking for another band that could be up there with Dream Theater, and Symphony X was that band. They were just technical, progressive power metal, and they were so technical. It was just like it was like, whoa, man, these guys are blowing me away. It was so epic. I got a chance. Me and my other band, we went up to Chicago, got to see him live with Blind Guardian. I don't know if you heard of Blind Guardian. That was another band I listened to a lot back then. Gosh, it was just a hell of a concert. It was just so good. They sounded just like they did on the CDs, which blew me away. Drummer's phenomenal. We actually met them outside on the sidewalk. Cool guys, man. I couldn't believe it. They signed my stuff, and they were just so nice, friendly, and everything. So that was that. And then another band that's from overseas that I found. They were they were a prog metal band, and it was called Pain of Salvation. Have you ever heard of them?
No.
Okay. Yeah, they were another Swedish band. Very, very unique band. I mean, their first few albums are very progressive. I don't know how to describe them, man. They're almost like a Faith No More type, but I wasn't a big fan of Faith No More, but I don't know how to explain it. The vocalist kind of has that style, but a lot better. Very complex. Want to check them out? I would check out their first couple albums, like Entropia and One Hour by Concrete Lake, are the ones. They were on Inside Out Music, Inside Out label. The Perfect Element Part 1. Those albums, those three, are just epic. And then they put out Remedy Lane, another good one. Some of their later stuff was kind of really weird and kind of laid back, but the first, few albums, really great stuff. We were just blown away by Entropia and 1 Hour by Concrete Lake. Me and my old band members, sometimes they would crash at my apartment and we would crank it and just sometimes fall asleep to it. And it's just, I don't know. It's something about it, man. It's great band and great album. Couple albums to check out there. So that's it for that run for me.
All right, we're getting somewhere.
We're getting somewhere.
My list is obviously going to be shorter because when we have the duplicates, then I can scratch that off.
That's true.
So the list is getting shorter without me doing anything, which is nice. So there's another band that's going to be on your list, but I'll let you go ahead and do that one.
Yeah, I know who it is.
And then
I should have did it earlier.
And then I'm going to let you do it, and that way that'll be another one scratched off my list.
Hey guys, do you want the ultimate iodine supplement? How about liquid B12? How about liquid turmeric in a herbal cold-pressed tincture, never heated? The ultimate in detoxification. Pure, powerful, and potent liquid formulas in a raw herbal extract. Totally organic. Use our special coupon code HEALTHYLIFE at checkout at globalhealingorganics.com. Use coupon code HEALTHYLIFE.
So then the next one would be Lynch Mob.
Yes, that was on my list too.
Of course, nobody knows who that is. That is George Lynch from Dokken. It wasn't his side project because he left Dokken and took Mick Brown with him. Yep. And formed up his own band, which had a Dokken-ish feel, a little bit, not really. But Oni Logan on the first album with Wicked Sensation, which
almost
I prefer.
Like a Badlands feel, don't you think?
A tiny bit,
yeah.
But more commercial, though. You know.
Oh yeah,
I would think.
Yeah.
And then they put out a second album with Robert Mason, which is now the singer of Warrant. So
he is?
Yeah, he's been with Warrant now for a decade or more.
What?
Since Janie Lane died, he's been the singer.
Oh, crap. I've been missing out. I didn't know Robert Mason was in there.
Yeah, and he's...
Oh, man.
I've seen him like twice, I think, since then, and yeah, he does a really good job.
Oh, man, I love Robert Mason's vocals.
Yeah, and of course then I think their third album in the 90s was Smokeless, which was almost like a Limp Bizkit type attempt.
Oh gosh.
They tried to do, but the first two Lynch Mob albums are incredible.
Yes.
And I mean, George Lynch is my favorite guitar player, so pretty much anything that he puts out, I'm interested in listening to. But yeah, really good. It still had that commercial feel to it. I mean, he didn't go off the rails with albums, and they're really good. They're really good albums, and I listen to them a ton.
Yes,
so
me too.
That is 16.
Okay.
Let me scratch this. I'm going to scratch it with them. They're all over the place on paper, pieces of paper here. Yeah. So the next one would be Arcade. Did you ever listen to Arcade?
No, that was a twist. I didn't. No, not once.
So Stephen Pearcy from Rat, he left and formed his own band, which had it was a little bit of a different style. It almost had like a punk feel at times, not all the time. Sometimes it had a Rat feel to it, but it's really good. You'll love the first. Yeah, actually, you'll probably love both albums, but they had two albums and a live album, and
I'll write it down.
If you like Rat and you like that style of music, it has songs like that, but it also has a little bit different styles at times. But yeah, really good band. I saw them in San Diego as well. It was Arcade, Asphalt Ballet, and this band called Voodoo. Really good band.
Wow.
And so we'll follow that up with the next band, which be on the list, would be Asphalt Ballet, as I saw them with Arcade. Yeah. And I was like, wow, these guys are great. They were great live. Their first album, they had a different singer. So they put out two albums, and then, of course, they disbanded like it usually happens. But yeah, really good. It's kind of like it was kind of more of not grunge when I say grungier. It was kind of like grungier rock. It was like a more. It was still commercial, but it was more. It was more aggressive type of thing. I can't really put my finger on it, but it was very commercial, very catchy songs. It's a good. I
heard of them, but I can't remember anything about them.
I don't know if they had any big hits, but they were good. They were a good band.
Okay.
And I hate to go back to the well, but I always go back to the well because I listened to this band. Well, actually, I didn't list it last week. You did, but big band in the 90s for me. The Zachary Stevens era.
Yeah,
was Sabotage.
Yeah, and I should have waited till the 90s for that one too.
I listened to them in the 80s, but I mean when they, unfortunately when, and not for better or for worse, I think John Oliva is a great singer. I think he's good. I think he's really good.
Dr. Butcher.
When they got Zachary Stevens, it was just. It was more operatic, smoother vocals, but I mean he could still scream. But it was just much more of a melodic type band once he joined. Yeah. Even though the music didn't change, the singing style did, and I think they took off. Edge of Thorns, A Handful of Rain, Dead Winter Dead, Wake of Magellan. I mean, what a string of albums. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Those were just blew me away, especially Dead Winter Dead, which spawned, of course, the Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Yep, exactly.
And all of those albums, I I don't know about Edge of Thorns, but I think all the rest of the albums were all produced by Paul O'Neill, which was the mastermind behind Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Oh, yeah.
So, let me see the next band. I'm going to throw one in there just for good measure because I hadn't thrown one in there yet. Believe it or not, you're going to be shocked when I tell you.
What's that?
But believe it or not, the next band of the most listened bands in the 90s, Stone Temple Pilots. Believe it or not.
I figured you'd throw in one of them bands.
It was... I hated the scene when it came out. We both did, right? But there was just something unique about the band. And in my opinion, he was the only guy that had like a normal, listenable voice compared to, some people say, oh, Chris Cornell, blah, blah, blah. I couldn't stand his voice. I don't know what it was. Not that he didn't have a good range and stuff like that, but I just couldn't get into him. But Scott Weiland, for me, had like a really unique but kind of a smooth voice, but he could still scream. I mean, let's face it. The first album they put out, every song was a hit. Every song. Wicked Garden, Sex Type Thing, Plush. I mean, it was just.
But yeah, you're right. They had a lot of hits. I mean, some of those bands were kind of metal when they first came out, like Soundgarden and stuff. They were kind of metalish,
Yeah, in a way, yeah. Yeah, for sure, definitely. They're definitely not on my list, but there was two bands from that era. Unfortunately, the person that gets all the attention is Pearl Jam, which I never got the attraction. But Alice in Chains.
They're on my list.
Facelift and Dirt. The same thing. Dirt. Every song on that album was a hit.
It was, yeah.
When you went into a bar in the 90s, some song from Dirt was playing on the jukebox.
Yeah.
Every one.
Yeah.
So you got to give those two bands credit. I love Alice in Chains, but STP is. I think they were more fun. You know what I mean? They were more fun, more catchy. They had catchy, faster paced type songs. You know what I mean? They weren't so depressing. You know what I mean? A lot of those bands. That was the one thing about that era, right? Is those bands were so depressing. I'm going to put a flannel on and mope around with my head down.
but Alice in Chains, they were the only ones that were kind of more metal compared to the other ones, Yeah. That's the thing. Yeah. I like that darker type sound. That was the only one that I really compromised with.
I had to be honest when I went back and I said what were the bands that I really did listen to a lot.
Yeah.
I did because I took a liking to them, And then I believe I got one more here.
Okay.
And then, decisions. And like I say, I got to go back to the well because I'm going to scratch off since you already said Alice in Chains. We'll just go ahead and we already discussed that by accident. So I go back to a band I mentioned last podcast, unfortunately, because they're the band that spans decades. Iron Maiden.
Oh,
so many great albums in the '90s. Even though the '90s was had some of the Blaze Bayley albums, I still listen to them a lot. And what more can you say? That everybody's heard of Iron Maiden. Problem is, not everybody's heard Iron Maiden, and if you haven't heard them, you should check them out. Very, very unique band, legendary band. And I'll tell you what, if that's a band, if they don't get into the Rock Hall,
right.
Let me tell you something, it's just ridiculous.
Well, even though we discussed why I didn't list Iron Maiden back in the day, but it was actually you that turned me on to Bruce Dickinson's solo albums, which I listened to a lot of.
Oh. Yeah, I should have actually put him on there. I guess I forgot, but yeah,
great.
Yeah, his. Yeah, course, they had Tattoo Millionaire, and then they had Balls to Picasso. Balls to Picasso is my favorite.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I love Bruce. I love Bruce Dickinson's voice. And that was one band, for whatever reason, I gave a chance to. So when I first heard him, I was like, oh, wait a minute. He sounds nothing like Bruce Dickinson. But Iron Maiden as a band, they're just so good. Their music is so unique. Mm-hmm. I stuck with them and gave him a chance, and of course they weeded him out quick enough, so it was only 2 albums.
Okay,
and then we got Bruce back. So
all right,
he's got a very deep voice.
Okay,
not much of a range, but he has a unique voice, but it's very deep. But I couldn't imagine, and they even said that when they went out on tour, I mean, he just couldn't do the Bruce material. The songs they wrote with him, fit him, obviously, because they worked his style into the music, but he just couldn't pull off Bruce because he wasn't half the singer. But he's got a cool voice.
Okay.
He's got a bunch of solo albums out, too, which are pretty good.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
I'll check that out.
You're up.
Was that it? Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, this is a band that, even though I didn't really get into Metallica till later on, because I did listen to Metallica in the 90s when the Black Album came out, whatever, but I really listened to this band more than Metallica, and it is Testament. Testament for me.
Well, I'm surprised.
Yeah, I really love Testament because what's that?
I bet that you like The Ritual, right? That's your album with the electric crown on it.
I love all their albums. I don't know. It was something about Testament that just, they didn't compromise. They didn't change their sound. They stuck. If anything, they just got heavier.
Yeah.
But
they're on my list, by the way, so I'm scratching.
Oh, they are? Oh.
Another one eliminated.
But I we met him. Chuck Billy,
yes.
Yeah, we ran into Chuck Billy at a bar. Me and another guy that I played in a band with. He was sitting there just having drinks, man. He was the coolest guy. We talked for a little bit. I mean, and he was just so nice. I mean, it was so weird. He was just drinking, having a couple drinks by himself. They were playing at a place next door. I don't know. I think it was after the show or something. But yeah, super nice guy. Not much more to add, I guess. Alice in Chains was the one I was just talking about. That was one that I did like in the 90s. And not much more to say about that. And then the other one is Camelot. We already discussed. So I really don't have to delve into that one. And then the next one that you may not have heard of, which is an acquired taste, but another Swedish metal band. And they remind me of a heavier Sabotage. When I first heard them, I was just like, whoa. And because he sounds like the original singer of Sabotage, kind of that same tone, but heavier guitars and stuff.
I know who you're going to say. Go ahead.
Do you?
Of course I know.
Morgana Le Fay?
Yep, Morgana Le Fay.
Oh, I did not know you knew them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, and then they split off into Le Fay.
Le Fay, yeah, yep. And, dude, I don't know, something about that band I just listened to over and over. It was on constant rotation. It was just, I don't know what it was about that band, but I just listened to them over and over.
And they just kind of faded away, didn't they?
Yeah, I don't know what happened to them. It pisses me off because
I think once they had that split, and I don't know what was up with the split because it was I wasn't really all over the internet at the time when that all happened, but they went from Morgana Le Fay to Le Fay, and then they put out an album that was still called Morgana Le Fay, but it was garbage.
It was,
and it was like, what is this?
Had that bullet on the front, or
yes,
yeah,
and then that was kind of like the end of it.
Yeah,
but they had like. What they had they had like 4 really awesome, or was it three Morgana Le Fay albums that were pretty good, and then they had 2 really good Le Fay albums.
Yeah. Seventh Seal and whatever that.
Yeah, what's the other one with the Jesus on the front?
Yeah,
that's the one that has the Boony Get.
Yeah, the Boony Get. Yep, yeah,
They had Maleficium.
SOS.
Yes.
And they were on Noise, too. Noise Records. Yep.
Yeah, what did they have? They had Maleficium, The Secret Doctrine, Symphony of the Damned, not Grand Material, that was his greatest hits. They had Sanctified, which I love that one.
Yeah, yes.
Aberrations of the Mind, that's the last one I got, and that was 2007.
Okay.
And I don't remember too much about that one, to be honest with you. Is that the band, or is that the Turd Band? So 2007 is the last album with the real band.
Aberration of the Mind, yeah, that was a really good one. Do you got that one?
I have it, but I think I bought it and I never really got a chance to listen to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, here's another band that when I first heard the vocals, I was blown away by, and I don't know if you'll know who these are, but this band is. Anyway, it's called Lionshare, another Swedish band. Yeah, they changed singers later, and I didn't like them. Yeah, Anders Engberg. Have you ever heard of that singer, Anders Engberg?
The name sounds familiar, but
okay. So he was on Lionshare's the first album in '95. Then 2 came out in '97, and then he was on Fall from Grace '99. Anyway, this guy, phenomenal vocalist. He's in Sorcerer. That's right. Great singer. Not much more, I guess, to say about that, but you're 5.
That's it?
Yep.
I don't know if I have 5 left since we've crisscrossed. Let me see here. So the band that you didn't list yet. I've been waiting and waiting. Because
I know. I forgot all about it because you know what? Why I saved it to the end, and that was the only one in the order I was going to save the best for last.
Okay, I'm still going to leave it then.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So on here.
I don't know why I did that, but yeah.
I think then, and then just very quickly, I have. No, I got 5 left, and that's it.
Okay.
It would have been 6 with the one that you're going to do.
Hey guys, do you like virtual instruments, sample libraries, and audio plugins? Well, I got a special coupon code for you. Okay, Samples Review 5. Samples Review 5 will give you an extra 5% on the already low prices at audioplugin.deals. Now, this coupon cannot be combined with any other coupon. Don't pass this up, guys. This is an awesome offer. 5 review at checkout. So Samples 5 review at checkout and get you an extra 5% off all the music software deals available at audioplugin.deals.
So it's a band, obviously, we talked about in the last podcast, which was from the 80s, but they had some great albums in the 90s, which I had listened to a ton, and that was Dokken. Dysfunctional, and then, of course, the next album had the Reb Beach on it. I can't think of the name of that album right now. But they had some great albums in the 90s. They obviously moved to they were another one of the bands that they had to move to like a shitty record label to keep on existing. But yeah, I listened to them a ton in the 90s. Of course, John Norum at one point, I think, was in the band. Reb Beach was in the band. I saw him with John Norum back in like 90.
Yeah, I think I did too. Yeah,
probably would have been probably like the late 90s, like 98, I would guess, maybe 99. Yeah, so what can I say about that? And then Megadeth.
Oh yeah,
Megadeth. Back in the 90s. I really loved the music of Megadeth. It was really hard to really get into Dave Mustaine sometimes. Sometimes his voice was, but when, obviously when they came out with Symphony of Destruction, when that album came out, it just broke open for them, right? And then, and I'd heard some songs of theirs previously, but once that album came out and it was so popular, then I really got into them and went back and listened to some of their old albums, and that I really hadn't listened to fully. And I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, he hasn't really put a stinker out since then.
No,
I mean,
he's gotten better.
Yeah,
he's gotten better each album. It's like, whoa, it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, they, and he's been churning them out too. I mean, God, I mean, it seems like every couple of years he hasn't stopped.
No, he hasn't.
Except when he had to have that surgery on his hand and couldn't play anymore, and throat cancer.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, forgot about that.
So. Yeah, Megadeth, just incredible band. And, you know, all that spat they had with Metallica and this and that and the bad blood, at the end of the day, yeah, maybe Metallica made more money, but Dave didn't sell out.
No.
He didn't sell out. He didn't try to change the times. Yeah, he kind of, you know, he went a little commercial, you know, but at one point, but...
but not too commercial,
right?
You know?
But yeah, he stayed pretty true to it. Yeah, next band is Halloween.
Oh, they're on my list too.
All right, well, you can scratch that one there, Steve. I loved Halloween from the day I saw the video for "I Want Out" back when I was in like was that 11th grade, maybe senior year, I don't remember. But just you know, as they got older, you know, as the band had been around longer, they changed a little bit. Their sound changed a little bit. Some of the songs earlier albums of the 80s had some kind of comical songs, some of them, but they were kind of a goofy band at times. But and I don't remember when the album came out, but actually, obviously, when the Dark Ride came out, that's really when it seems like they took it like a turn. You know what I mean? It was like a little bit different feel for them.
Yeah, Dark Ride was pretty heavy album for. I mean, you know, it was less speed metal. You know.
Yeah. There was a couple fast songs there. I can't remember. Right. It's been a while since I've listened to that.
Yeah.
But I love the singer. I love the musical style, and I was just reading an article the other day that the guitar player was talking about the Keeper of the Seven Keys album, which was back from the 80s. Back in the 80s.
Yeah,
and he said that he didn't want people to know back then, but so he kind of obscured it. But the Keeper of the Seven Keys, he says, is Jesus.
Wow.
And he said that was so it was an allegory about Jesus in that album, but he didn't want to freak out the fans of Halloween, so they obscured it, and that's a story behind that album. It's pretty interesting.
Wow. They always had really good lyrics when you delved into them. People, you know, got kind of turned off. Some people, Halloween, you know, they thought it was real like a scary band back in the day. They always had that song Halloween.
Yeah. But they always had that dumb pumpkin on the front.
I know.
A cartoon pumpkin.
Yeah. They had some really good positive songs.
Well, my next one is, and I mentioned it last time, but when I say I listened to them in the 90s, Queensryche, Here in the Now Frontier.
There you go. Promised Land was my favorite. But
yes. Yeah, there was... Promised Land was like their last album before they slowly they went through an era, you know, for a while there. But I got to see them for free at the Here in the Now Frontier tour. Won free tickets, got backstage. That was pretty cool. But you know, what can I say? Yeah, that's my my favorite.
The first Queensryche concert I went to was on that Promised Land tour.
Or was it?
Oh gosh, amazing. Oh.
It kind of sucks that you know they kind of got. Well, everybody did, I guess, right? Right after that album, they kind of just got shelved, right?
Yeah, it did. It did. Yeah, there's so many good songs on there. But yeah it just kind of tanked, you know? It's weird. I don't get it.
Yeah. Bridge got a little bit of attention, and then that was kind of the end of it.
Yeah.
They had about 2 weeks of promotion, and then they were done.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think the last one that we hadn't duplicated yet would be Narnia.
Oh, Narnia. I forgot about them.
Yeah, they're
Totally
from
forgot about
Sweden.
them. Yeah.
They're another Swedish band.
I forgot about them.
Yeah, and
I've got both their or two of their albums, I guess. But.
Yeah, I can't remember how many they've actually put out, but
Yeah.
I got one album of theirs on a whim at a pawn shop. And I was like, "What is this?" And then I was like, "Wow, these guys are awesome." I listened to it like continuously, and my one buddy that I used to hang out with a lot, and he was like, "You're not going to be listening to that album again, are you?" But for whatever reason, I was hooked on it, and now when I go back and I look at their whole discography, it's probably one of their worst albums. But if you kind of fell away from listening to them, the album you want to listen to is an awesome album. It didn't come out in the 90s, but my favorite album is Course of a Generation, which came out in 2009. Get that album. You will absolutely love it, dude. You will love it. They were supposed to be at Immortal, but they couldn't for this year, but they couldn't get their visas or something.
Oh, really?
So,
wow.
Yeah, but yeah, the album I got, and I played the crap out of it, and I don't even know where it's at now, because I don't listen to them that much anymore, but it was Awakening. That's what it was. Came out in 97.
Yeah. Yep. I know what you're talking about. Yep. I think that's the one I got.
Yeah, it's got the lion on the front cover.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good album, but that's
yeah.
it for me. I don't have any more bands.
Well, I mean, basically, I'll just go down the list. I mean, it's overlapping, but one of the bands that I did listen to quite a bit, I guess, was Saigon Kick. Did you ever listen to them guys at all?
I wasn't a big fan.
I mean, I don't know how it holds up. I haven't heard the albums for a long time. They had some good songs. We talked about Nevermore. We talked about Die Happy, Pride, Haven, Deliverance, Lynch Mob, Halloween. Okay, here's one that we haven't talked about, but Wicked Mariah. Have you ever heard of them?
No.
Okay. Wicked Mariah. Love that band. I think they came out in like 95, and they went through a weird name change. Dropped the Wicked, and it was Mariah for, I think, one album. And I don't know. Then they went back to Wicked Mariah, but I didn't get their last album they put out. I just had the first two. But I listened to a lot of that album. I don't know, something about it. And every time I put it on, they were like, who's this album? Or who is this? I mean, I don't think they got the respect they deserved. And kind of fizzled out. But one band that I listened to when they first came out. Now this is kind of when new metal was hitting, and it was the tail end of the '90s. I did really like this band. It actually came out in '99, so it wasn't much of the '90s. But it was Seven Dust.
I like their debut album.
Yeah, and that came out in '99. Yeah, and I still like Seven Dust, but. So I guess I'm at the end. Now there was another band that I could say that I listened to a lot of that you may or may not have heard of.
ABBA?
No. It was kind of a prog metal band. They're very not very known here at all. I mean, they put out a lot of albums, but I mean, they're not a big band, but it was Poverty's No Crime. I don't know if you ever heard of them. But they had some good songs. That was I just kind of threw that out there. Oh, I did listen to some Solitude Arturnus, if you ever heard of them. Kind of a doom metal group, kind of like Candlemass or something like that. I don't know. The one that I was saving to the end, you know what it is. It came out in 98. And it's Evergrey.
I was waiting.
I know. I knew. That's why I'm surprised I had it on the end, because I knew you were going to have it on your list. So I don't know what I was thinking, but hey, good call. Thanks for waiting on that one. I love Evergrey. Bought that one on a whim, and that one actually, I went into a record store and it said heavy progressive melodic metal, something like that. And I was like, okay. So I took it, purchased it, not knowing a thing about them, and it was the Dark Discovery album. And ever since, I've been an Evergrey fan ever since, and every time they release a new album, it becomes my album of the year, and that's what I had for album of the year of 2022 was the last Evergrey album, A Heartless Portrait. It's like a Heartless Portrait, the Orphean Testament, but I just say a Heartless Portrait. It's a long title. Yeah, that was my favorite album of last year.
I haven't bought an Evergrey album since The Glorious Collision.
Wow.
I mean, I've heard some of the songs, but I haven't actually purchased a CD since then.
Oh wow! Everyone since Hymns for a Broken, oh God, I'm gonna say it wrong. Hymns for the Broken. Shit. From then on, I like every Evergrey album, I think, equally.
Huh.
I don't know. They're just so good. Every one of those, from that Hymns for the Broken till now, that's 5 albums. I don't know. They're just so good.
My favorite album of theirs up until 2011 is In Search of Truth. That's my favorite.
Yeah, so In Search of Truth was your favorite?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's cool, man. That's way back there. But yeah, good album. Hey guys, what's up? This is Steve Montgomery from Retro Media Talk. Hey, I just want to let you know I got a new album out called Night Sky. If you like ambient, cinematic type music, a little synth wave mixed in with some of the tracks, hey, check it out. It's available on Bandcamp, Amazon, Spotify, and some other outlets. I also have a physical CD that you can order through the link in the podcast description wherever you're listening to. Thank you so much for your support. Steve Montgomery, Night Sky, out now. Hey guys, I'm recording this in post. Steve's not on here right now. I just want to interject this story because I forgot to do it while we were recording. As far as Evergrey goes, I met those guys right before the pandemic. Saw them live up at a club in up by Chicago. They were on their world tour for the Atlantic album. Awesome album, and it was just an amazing show. But we waited around afterwards to see if the guys would come out. Every one of the band members came out, hung out with the fans. We talked for a while. They were so cool. Yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know that Evergrey, not only are they an unbelievable band, but none of those guys are stuck up or dickish. They were so cool, so friendly, so talkative, and I just think that's something to acknowledge. They were so cool. You probably won't be listening to this, but I just want to thank Evergrey for showing their fans some love and respect. All right, we're going to go back to the podcast now. Since we're at the end, I'm just going to give a couple shout outs. You got any shout outs you want to give out or anything?
No shout outs. I don't like a shout out.
I'm just going to give a shout out to, because in the 90s, later on, we used to trade CDs. We used to meet up, but it was Brandon Timian and Corey Piles. You know Corey. You know Corey
Piles
very well. Yep, Corey Piles of Decade of Decadence. Yeah, we used to meet up each other's houses and trade CDs. We'd bring some CDs that try to trade up for something we wanted, and that's how we kind of got rid of our stuff we didn't like instead of trading in at the record store. So we try to trade off CDs. And that was before we could burn them. So we had a lot of fun doing that. Sometimes, sometimes you traded off something you didn't really want to trade off. And yeah, it was always a game though, but it was fun trading CDs and stuff like that. And then I'll do a shout out to Chris Camp and Denver Waters and Terry Richards, which are not listening, but they used to come over. They're in my old band, Widow's Offering. They used to come over and like I said, crash the apartment, whatever. And we used to crank up all these different bands that a lot of these bands that we're talking about now. And then one guy, I'll give a shout out to Matt Dameron, who was a big Pantera fan, that turned me on to Pantera.
Didn't make the list,
but it didn't. It did not make the list because Pantera was one of those bands that I didn't listen to a lot of. I really love the music. Don't get me wrong, but there was so much like cussing in it and stuff that I don't know, man. I was kind of turned off by it.
No, they were a one-trick pony, dude, and I never really got into them either. There's a couple songs I liked when I'd be out hanging out at the bar, at the mosh pit.
Yeah.
But other than that, they were a one-trick pony. The other stuff it was the same formula. We probably lost all of our listeners after last week's podcast.
You think it was that bad?
They're like, we don't want to hear about these nerds and the metal bands they listen to. And if they somehow made it past the 80s bands, once they get to the 90s, they're like Pink Cream 69. What are these guys listening to? Narnia.
We're talking about all these bands that nobody's heard of. Those.
Ooh, I just farted.
Should I leave that in there?
Yeah.
That's funny. So anyway, guys, thanks for listening to Retro Media Talk podcast. Find us on all the platforms. Hope you enjoyed this episode of 90s metal, our favorite or our most listened to bands of the 90s. There's some bands on there you probably never heard of. Check them out. Give it a listen. See what you think. Thanks for listening, guys. Talk to you guys next time.
Ciao.